What else did you find besides this Tic Tac?
I think I was on a Navy system at the time. I can't remember, cloud of weed, etc. But there was a spreadsheet, Excel spreadsheet, and it was called, because I was saying earlier about my search terms, it was UFOs, ET, terrestrial, anything spacecraft, anything I could think of, which probably wouldn't be in the title of the document. But this spreadsheet was titled Non-Terrestrial Officers. So not on the Earth, which isn't necessarily alien. It could just mean space-based Marines or, secret space force. And that was incredible. It had ship names. It had materiel, the military spelling, not material. And it was transfers of weird chemicals like molybdenum and other weird things that are hard to pronounce. Ship-to-ship transfers and fleet-to-fleet transfers. And at the time, I looked up the ship names, thinking U.S. Navy, must be boats. Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
What do you remember the names of the people?
No, I don't remember any of the names of the people, but there were long lists. I think it was just initial surname. I don't think there were first names. And the ship names, I was expecting like USS Lincoln or Navy ships, but there was none of that. And it wasn't Google at the time. I think it was Alta Vista, the biggest search engine at the time. And none of it was seagoing vessels.
So you see a list of non-terrestrial officers, and then you also see chemicals. What are the names of these chemicals?
Yeah. Molybdenum, barium, something was in there. They were very exotic. So what does that imply?
Do you remember the exact? So what is molybdenum? Have you looked up what the uses are of this?
Yeah, I remember molybdenum. I can't even say it now. Molybdenum. They're very exotic. They're used in like magnetics. Lots of very kind of exotic industrial processes. A lot to do with metal hardening, if I remember rightly, like metallurgy. Like you make an alloy and it makes it stronger than the original two components. So again, that time now, years later, with the research you've done, the people you've interviewed, it's all making more sense, especially when we come to the biofield Brown stuff and dielectrics. And,
yeah, we'll get to that.
And like nano deposition of thin layer materials.
Yes, yeah, thinly layered, thinner than a human hair or whatever, micron layered.
Yeah.
Multi-layered bismuth and magnesium sample. Bismuth layers less than a human hair. Magnesium samples about 10 times the size of a human hair. Supposedly picked up in the crash retrieval of an advanced aerospace vehicle.
Okay, this is fascinating though. So you see a list of how many non-terrestrial officers?
Oh man. So my screen at the time was the old like 800 by 600 monitors. I think I might have had 1024 by 768 resolution at the time. So your typical Excel spreadsheet without zooming in when you just load it up was probably 24 lines. And I think there was about 1.5 or 2 pages. So maybe like 30, 40 names.
You don't remember any of the last names?
No. Sorry.
You're killing me.
You're not kidding me.
You gotta give us a little breadcrumb.
Yeah, this is one of the main criticisms of me. Why didn't you take a bloody screenshot? Just alt print screen, alt print. But I downloaded that Excel spreadsheet. And when I got arrested, all my data was taken to ONI, Office of Naval Intelligence. So they still have my hard drives. I've tried to get them back for years, and they said, no, it's still an ongoing investigation. You can't touch it.
Office of Naval Intelligence is the oldest intelligence agency in the U.S. I think it's 1882, and it's often deeply implicated in UFOs.
1882?
1882. So the National Security Act, which created the CIA, was 1947. And, and then you had the OSS before that, which was kind of this wartime foreign intelligence effort. Yeah. But, Office of Naval Intelligence well predates all of that. And you had Thomas Townsend Brown doing a lot of spooky science work for the Navy.
Yeah.
And, and then you have this guy, Harold Malmgren, who kind of ended up giving me kind of turned into kind of a deathbed confession at the end of his life. And it was wild. I mean, he was like, the Office of Naval Intelligence knows the most about this issue, and once you go in that door, the door shuts, and you
Wow.
can't get let out.
I had an aide who'd been assigned to help me, had been, I guess, a master sergeant in the Army in Korea. But he became my sort of guide, father confessor, you know. But he said, we're not in naval intelligence are going to be around asking you questions about your study. They really got curious, and if they talk to you for any length of time, they'll say, holy shit, you really know a lot. They're going to offer you special access. It's how they operate. I said, what does that mean? They'll open the doors, you'll have full entry, the doors will shut, and you'll be no exit the rest of your life. That is a closed system. So don't let them sniff you. Just go, you know.
And he kind of implied that they approached him in certain cases, and because of the fact that it was this closed system, he didn't want to engage.
Wow.
So very interesting. So they end up with your stuff.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they were when the British police at the time it was the NHTCU, National High Tech Crime Unit in the UK. At first, they said to me, "Oh, you'll get 6 months. It's the Computer Misuse Act, 1995 in Britain. 6 months, community service, no time." And then they went to America and visited O&I and other top brass. And when they came back, the tone had totally changed. They were just really serious. Which of course eventually turned into facing 70 years in prison. So it was a huge, like using a hammer to crack a nut. It was, you know, David and Goliath, that whole thing. Yeah.
So wild.
Yeah. Well, it's just, like you said earlier, I was just a guy, normal guy, interested in UFOs, happened to have some IT skills, a little bit of hacking, blank passwords, nothing genius level. And then next thing you know, boom, it just blows up.
Try to make an example of you. So when you think about those chemicals, and, you know, we'll get into our mutual interest in Thomas Townsend Brown and anti-gravity experiments. So you think that they could have been used to create special alloys or what you might call metamaterials in UFO world, which allow for greater thrust in these anti-gravity experiments? Like, one thing that is true about the Byfield-Brown effect and this anti-gravity experiment is that if you use an insulator in the middle that is considered a high K dielectric, which means it stores and discharges easily a lot of electromagnetism, a lot of, you know, electricity. It stores electric fields in it specifically. The thrust you see in the experiment is much greater from the negative electrode to the positive electrode. So do you think that, you know, I guess barium is actually in Townsend Brown's documents. Like, he talks about it all the time.
Titanate, strontium, titanate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and then what was the other? I can never pronounce it. Molybdenum. And you looked into that, and that's for like creating alloys.
Yeah, I think it's a strengthening alloy. It's been a long time since I looked into it, but I think that's what it was. It was like a strengthening alloy.
Any other chemicals?
It might have even had a shielding. Not gravitational shielding, but like radiation shielding or some kind. I think maybe similar to lead, but I'm not a physicist, so don't quote me.
But it's super interesting if it's used on like current space vehicles. Like, people should go out and look that up, because if it is, you know, that might be an interesting lead.
Yeah, do some patent searches.
Yeah. Any other chemicals?
Molybdenum, barium, strontium.
Strontium.
Yeah, strontium.
And strontium is also mentioned in Brown's stuff, I believe, or
I can't remember any others.
Okay, but isn't strontium, I believe, is one of Gary Nolan's pieces that he has at the, you know, Stanford lab that he thinks might be UFO metamaterials that come from crashes. I believe has strontium in it.
Yeah, it's a good dielectric. I forget its K constant, but I know it's high.
So it's also a high K dielectric.
Yeah.
This is crazy. So you have a list of non-terrestrial officers.
Yeah. Yeah, so...
And then what does the fleet-to-fleet thing mean?
This was fleet-to-fleet transfers, because it was one spreadsheet, but it had tabs. So there was the officers' names, there was ship names, and there was a material transfer.
Do you remember the
Tab.
ship names?
No.
Okay. But when you're looking at this, what is your instinct as to like, because there are all sorts of wild interpretations people have, you know, and people make up the secret space program, Solar Warden stuff. What was you're in the moment. What are you thinking when you see this?
Well, that's exactly where I was. Imagine you were me, UFO guy, you know, quite an active interest, and then finding this. And so obviously that's where my first thoughts go. So I'm thinking non-terrestrial officers, that's the baseline for the whole document. So they're not on Earth, but I was thinking, well, it's probably people. They're not non-terrestrial because they're not human. They're non-terrestrial because it's non-Earth based, so it's out in space. So Space Force was my first thought. It's got to be a Space Force. Obviously secret. And then with the chemicals and stuff and the ship names, and fleet to fleet transfers, so there's more than one ship, and then exotic materials. And so, you know, it's kind of 2 + 2 = 4.
Yeah.
You know, obviously, it's to do with my mindset. That's what I was looking for. So that's how I interpreted.
Well, you know what I would do if I was Office of Naval Intelligence and I hated Gary McKinnon? You know what I would do? I'd make up some BS secret space program, call it Solar Warden, send people down the wrong trail, when actually I do have real, you know, deep space fleets and transfers of these. So,
and Solar Warden did come after me. So the
it did. Yeah. But like, I'm still trying to get to what do you think the fleet to fleet transfer of what? Of people?
I think the
chemical?
materials. Because first you had the people, then you had the ships, then you had the chemicals.
Okay.
Metal elements.
Okay. And do we think that the material is being transferred between don't think that the material is being transferred between extraterrestrials and humans, do we? Or do we think the material is being transferred between humans?
I think, ship to ship. So I guess maybe this was kind of like a logistics train.
Like a supply chain in space or something?
Yeah. Yeah, just a basic, because you know, the Army's all about, or the Navy or whoever, is all about logistics.
Right. And a lot of these materials, if they are layered extremely thinly, and you have kind of atomic layer deposition style stuff, we know that manufacturing in space and in zero-G environments allows you. So a lot of these materials, they go, it looks like it was built in zero-G. Like, this is so crazy.
No faults.
So like maybe they built it in zero-G and then they're like conflating it with the UFO stuff, which actually just shows up around nukes and in other contexts or whatever. But like they might have built it in zero-G.
Yeah, that's the Occam's razor explanation, isn't it? That's the simplest.
Okay, so there's like a space supply chain where humans are manufacturing these exotic materials in space that you literally couldn't make.
Physically impossible on Earth.
On Earth, yes.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. I don't think, has anybody ever explicitly tied together your thing like this, like we're doing now?
No, this is fresh and unique.
I love this. This is fascinating because that makes sense. That makes sense. Like the other stuff doesn't make sense. I mean, sending people 20 and back through the sun into a portal, and maybe that's possible. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
super soldiers on Mars. No.
Yeah, super soldiers on Mars. We need more evidence. I'll entertain, whatever, but you need evidence.
Yeah.
You can't just
I'm open to all stories.
But, but this is fascinating. Okay, so it's like a space supply chain logistics. It's like a space factory, essentially, where they're creating these metamaterials that you can't make on Earth, and you need deep space to create them.
Yeah.
And then so the non-terrestrial officers would just be humans overseeing this supply chain, this space supply chain.
This is really good because I never even saw it in that way before.
Oh, this is fascinating. Yeah. And what's ironic is they're probably making space travel that much easier by creating these high dielectrics, which involve greater thrust in the Byfield-Brown effect.
Yeah.
So they're like making their own program more powerful.
Yeah. So to fit.
This is fascinating.
Wow.
Wow. All right.
I like that. I like discovery as we go.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? But that makes...
Yeah, it's all speculation.
It is speculation, but the idea that we have people in deep space, or we have like literal alien, like Men in Black style, like aliens walking among us, and then we put like Navy suits on them, commander suits on them, and they're like, you're a non-terrestrial officer or whatever. That makes less sense. Both of those make less sense.
Just don't look at his huge almond-shaped eyes.
Yeah. He'll crawl out of his skin suit occasionally, but like, it's like that we're stuck between those two options, like that, or it's like aliens in like military garb, or literally humans that we've sent into like super deep space or whatever.
I've never believed in any of the stories of alien contact with governments and stuff like that. I think it's just outlandish.